Well, that's what it's about. I'm definitely adding that in the video. What's the best present or gift you've ever received from someone?
My dad got me a car wash membership at Mr. Car Wash, so I could go get a car wash inside and out anytime I wanted to.
Wow, that is a pretty good gift. Who do you think knows you the best?
Probably my mom. I didn't even know you.
I know, but you certainly thought you did. It's okay.
Well, I was a little jealous, I think.
That's fine. It's okay. It's nice to know.
But I was just like, no. And Josh was like, Catherine,
It's gonna be okay.
yeah. I'm like, fine.
It's gonna be okay.
So,
I'm like, Lord, your will be done. Like, you know, I don't like always go off of signs and things like that because you can't always like go off of that. But I just remember like really praying about it and being like, I don't know, Lord, what you want. And then I woke up that next morning and that text was right there and I was like, holy crap. So I read the text like multiple times and I mean like it was like the sweetest, most kind, and this is like one of the things, like the thing about like if I could point out about you, like there's millions of different things I could give, but like the one thing that just stands out way above everything else is how she supports me in everything. And she did that before we were ever together. She was gonna do that if we weren't together. Like that means so much to me. And like that was the part that like really like took me back. I was like, oh. And so she sent that text, and even before we had a date, remember at Tropical Smoothie?
it was not a date.
It was kind of a date. It was a Tropical Smoothie day. But she just wanted to get to know me.
After church.
Yeah,
lunch.
she just wanted to get to know me.
It was not a
But it was a nice time. Like we were able to sit there and talk. But anyways, so it was that day. She had said all those things, and in my head, I'm like, well, this kind of, she thinks I don't like her, and she doesn't realize that's not true. So I ended up texting her because I would prefer to talk in person about certain things, and so I was like, hey, can we meet up and we can talk?
And I was just like,
really?
I don't need in-person rejection. Like, just reject me over text. Like, I know you don't like me. Like, what's like? I was just like, kind of annoyed, honestly.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you're annoyed. And so I ended up just being like, I said that, and then we kind of found a way, like a whole weaving around it way to eventually like, and we went to a bank, her bank, and we.
Shout out Southern Bank.
Yeah, yeah. So we.
Stop taking sponsorships.
Sure. And so we went and we were just sitting in she was at the bank already, like she had already gotten there. And
like I actually had to go to the bank. Like I actually did make a deposit.
And so
like we didn't just pick the bank to. Sorry, I think it's funny.
And so I got there and I just like got in your car and I know you remember it better than I do.
He looked at me and he goes, so this is gonna be one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. You didn't really look at me a whole lot during this conversation.
And he looks at me and he goes, so I actually like you too.
Yeah.
And I'm
I was like, so I actually like you too.
That's exactly how you said it, and I was like. What?
And basically the rest of the time was me talking.
I don't think I said a word.
You did not really say anything, like there wasn't anything, but I mean, that's kind of like how it started, and like the part that like really also stood out to me was how you looked at me like, and you're gonna like, I'm gonna let you leave.
Yeah, because it was time to go, like he had a phone call and like I had to get back to work and.
Like I didn't expect someone to say that, and so I kind of just was like, okay, I'm gonna take ownership of that and try to do my best. I'm not great at it always, but like, so that like that's how that part went, and then eventually like. There's like a lot of other back parts of this story, but I don't really think like it's necessary to get into them. Like, I just wanted more of the joyful side of things. She's already said that though. I don't think I said date. I just think we expected it was a date. And so like we had our first date. We went to a Chinese restaurant, local place, which is the place of cashew chicken, like the home of cashew chicken. And
you have gluten-free cashew chicken?
Gluten-free cashew chicken. And so we went there. And then we went to Pineapple Whip, and then did I just take you back home after that, or did
we sat in the
drove?
parking lot and talked for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I had you take me to the gas station so I could go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and then I
just
took you home slowly but surely after that point. And so like that was our first date. And so do you want to just kind of talk about kind of like where we've been for the next 4 months? We'll kind of like end it with that part, like just talking about the past 4 months.
What do you want me to say? You do it.
what can be about anything. Like I just want both of our perspectives, like kind of what we've done. And
I feel like we really just kind of found a group, you know, the two of us. Like, obviously it was kind of, there were challenges at first, just like being part of a ministry where we were all so close with everyone, you know. People were definitely surprised. I mean, like, so the blind date was a Sunday, our first date was a Wednesday, and then Sunday we were basically dating, and we went to church that day, and we had a leadership
Oh, yeah.
we had a
That was the
leadership
wedding.
meeting, and then we went and shot a wedding together. And people were like,
Oh, what's
going
happening?
on? And then I made like a super big Instagram post. It was like the cutest wedding date, and people were like, wait, what?
Yeah. Like,
And
that's
I'm
a lot.
like, and they're like, hold up, and I'm like,
Mhm.
got you.
Yeah. So
Um,
I mean that was kind of interesting. Like I think a lot of the early part moved kind of fast in a way because it was just kind of a hectic time with everything and all. But I didn't like. I mean, I never really had any. I think that was like a big major thing. Even now, it's still like I don't have any doubts. Like
yeah,
I don't
we've
really.
never looked back.
Like I don't really. I think there's always like a certain part of questioning things, like just making sure you're like walking faithfully. Like I mean, more than anything, we want to make sure that we're both taking care of like our relationship with Christ, like first, like that. So I just haven't really even questioned too much of
It's like the
us.
opposite.
Yeah,
We
like
just,
because
every day we're more affirmed that.
yeah. What was it? It was that message one week. I don't remember who it was. The sermon at Tuesday Night Vine. Like I told you afterwards, I was like, normally after like sermons like this, I will start to question and be like, I'm not sure.
I think it was Preston.
Yeah, and usually like I would do that. It was like about relationships and stuff like that. And normally I would walk away like being questioning about things and being like unsure. But like I told her afterwards, I was like, I didn't have anything, like any question in my mind, because one of the most important things about the person that you're gonna be with is that person loves the Lord more than they love you, and no matter what happens, that they're gonna serve the Lord. They're never gonna like.
It's nap time.
It's not gonna default to you. Like the important part is the Lord, and so I remember that being a really important like point for me. And it's not that you're not always gonna. There's gonna be moments where things are gonna get hard and you're gonna struggle. Like that's life. We've had our moments. Like we've had moments where I've broken down, she's broken down. We've been into urgent care, you know, like we've had things happen. But all of that is kind of like made us stronger, and I think that we go about it in a way that's really healthy. Like we're not like all-knowing relationship advice people or anything like that. But
Well, one thing we said from the beginning that like we have like established is that we're not doing the whole vague, secret meaning communication thing. Like we said, like we're gonna say we say what we mean and mean what we say. Like we're not just gonna be like, oh, I'm fine, you know.
yeah.
It's like no, if something's wrong, we're gonna say it, and we're gonna take each other's words at face value and not look for hidden meanings. You know, like we're just gonna be upfront, and honest. And we just said that from the beginning. We said this is how we're gonna do it, and I think that's been really important for us.
Well, even beyond that, like there's times where we might say that once or whatever, but we both kind of know, like, and we're like, no, like you need.
No, we're gonna talk about
Yeah,
this.
we're gonna talk about this. Not because I mean, there's times where maybe something doesn't have to be talked about. Like it's like maybe something that you're like you don't need to talk about that. But for the most part, like it's always just like we can see it and we're like, hey, like let's talk about this, because if we don't, like, then we're not able to communicate that very well and walk in a way that's worthy.
I mean, I've been known to make him pull the car over and get out, and
Yeah, she's done that multiple times.
like I said, like let's pull the car over and I'll get out, and I'm like, we're gonna talk about this and then we're gonna leave it right here. It's not coming back in the car.
And that, like, that's a really important part, like, for us. Like, everyone's different. Like, I think that's one thing. Like, I know this is kind of turned into maybe relationship advice.
Sorry.
And that's okay. But, like, for us, like, I think something that we've learned is that that you have to be able to do that with each other. Like, if you're not able to have those conversations, and what we do is we're not like, I think a lot of people expect us to have these like screaming matches with each other about things, and we're like very like we both are transparent about how we react to things, and we both know how those go. I'm more of the sink back, hide for a little bit, and then come talk about it. I need to process it. And I would say you're more of the let's take care of this now kind of thing. And so that's okay. Like that's just part of like what we learn, like and grow in. And so it's like for me, I've just learned that I have to be honest and be like, hey, I need to process these things and then come talk to you about them in that way so that we can walk faithfully, because that's the only thing that really matters. Like we want our relationship, you know, whether we're at this point dating, hopefully someday married, spoiler, and we want to walk faithfully and serve the Lord and like proclaim the gospel, and that's like the most important thing for us to do and live faithfully in that. And so, I mean, I think also a part of this is like this kind of is like this video is partly transforming for my channel in the sense that for both of us, like this is kind of what we want to like do, and like I especially want to do this, and I know you want to be a part of it, and like talking about some of these taboo subjects sometimes, and like just getting into some of the nitty gritty, because there's a lot of things that people our age are struggling with, especially like mental health and stuff like that, but we just aren't as a Christian culture these days willing to talk about things and willing to just be open and honest, and like we have to be there for each other, and you know we have to make sure that we're always proclaiming the gospel in like everything that we do, and so like
the way that our pasts like mesh together, so it's just like a really cool testament of the Lord, and like one day we're gonna sit down and
yeah
share that.
That's one thing I'm like super excited for. Like we're not there yet, but like I know that when we get there, like I think that you guys will be blessed by like how it really did mesh together, or and there's a chance like you might hear my side of the testimony like before, like because that's part of that part is more towards when like we're married, like we want to do that then, not when we're like just dating, but you might like there's a good chance like you'll hear my testimony before then, like I'm at a place where I'm almost there to share it. Like I'm just trying to make sure I go about it the right way, but like then you get to hear like kind of how Wyatt meshed so well, and so like it's to me it's incredible. Like it doesn't really make sense, like but
like, the Lord is so
yeah.
good and there's no other explanation.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like for me, I told you guys earlier, like the way she supports me, I mean, it's not just, oh, she supports me, like it's a way that like she doesn't just say it, she very much so puts actions behind it. Like this person right here, like always checks on me, she's always asking if I'm okay, she's always wanting me to make sure that I'm keeping her in the loop about things so that she can be there for me, she's always asking how she can help, she's always knowing when she needs to give me a hug, you know, things like that, and so like that has like always been like the major thing that just, it doesn't make sense to me a lot always, but it means so much to me that she does that, and she just, the way that she has lived her life in everything, you just see God's faithfulness and His goodness, and she's just willing to stand up and proclaim the truth and not be afraid of that, and there's just so much about her and who she is that well, I don't know how I put it, but I say she's basically like, what is it, the characters, it's like you have people with different character parts of their life that just shine, but for me, she's like a giant thing that just bursts with all of those character things. Like that's what it is to me, because she has all that. I mean, she has a servant's heart, hospitality, she literally does so much more for people than she ever realizes, and it's just, to me, it's incredible to sometimes just sit back and watch. So it's not like I just have this friendship with her where I'm just like, oh, she's a great friend. That's not what it is at all for me. Like it was that at one point, but it blossomed into something. It blossomed into something that was so much more to me than that, where I was like, I want to be with this person. And as time has gone by, even though it's only been 4 months, the more and more I'm with her, the more I realize, well, like this is the person I want to be with forever, you know, until the Lord takes me. And so, yeah.
You're sweet.
I'm sweet. Thanks.
Sorry. You fluster me.
I fluster her. What? She doesn't like that I'm shorter than her, so I try to sit up. I'm not really good at sitting up.
No, clarify. He's not actually shorter than me. It's just that he's
No, I'm
on the
not.
couch.
Well, we're not that far off.
He's
A few inches taller than you.
Maybe that's my bizarre deal breaker. I don't want to be taller than me.
I wouldn't want my girlfriend to be taller than me. I couldn't have done that. So it's perfect. Like, they're kind of perfect for each other. Really, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. You love the Lord and just want to honor Him more than anything in your life. You know, like there's things that the world says you have to do. Like you have to go to school. You have to work 9 to 5, and you're just like, that's not what the Lord is calling me to do. So I'm not going to do it. Like no questions asked. You're just all in with Him and His will, you know. That was the first thing that was kind of like, this guy's different, you know. And like, if 9 to 5 college is what the Lord's calling you to do, like that's great, like do that. But that's not your story, and that's okay, and that's good. But then just the fact that you love others so much and you always put others first, even to a fault sometimes.
No. No.
Stop. Sorry, I didn't plan this part, but
That's okay.
I just, like you just take care of others so well, and like you don't do anything for recognition. You're like the most servant-hearted person I've ever met, and you're just joyful, you know, in every moment, even when we're like upset or sick. Like every situation you point it back to the Lord. I mean, every situation. Even when it's not what people want to hear, you're like, hey, this is important and you need to know, but the Lord loves you and like He died for you and we don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah. I think that probably is a lot for a video. I'm sure this has gone on way longer than I can even imagine, considering we recorded probably about 40 minutes of content so far. I'll cut it down to hopefully no more than 30. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna try. But I think that hopefully this gives you guys like a chance to get to know my girlfriend and a little bit more about like us and stuff like that, and just gives you kind of a more into our relationship understanding or something like that, however you want to say that. And so it's just like important for us to share that, because I think for some people they might say, well, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I mean, this is kind of a big deal. Like, this almost is a video that basically us pointing out like we want to be together like forever. But like I don't feel like we're too afraid to just say that and be honest about that. And so
But I think it's important to say that we're not married, you know, and like we value the Lord's will above everything else, and obviously we want nothing more than to be together. But if the Lord, that's not His plan, then that's not His plan. And like my contentment and my joy is not in you, it's in the Lord.
Thank goodness.
So I think it's just important to say that.
No, that's very important, because if people don't understand that, like, we're not just going about this in a way like we're already married. Like, I think it's different. Like, I'm dating her for a purpose. Like, I'm not just dating her to date her. You know, I think a lot of people do that these days, and it just gets us so lost. But like, that's why I started dating you really in the first place. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna just do this like for no reason. Like, I wanted to date her because I had the intention of someday hopefully marrying you.
On our very first date, sorry, we're running out of time. But
No,
on
you're
our
fine. We're never running out of time.
On our very first date, he took me home, and we're sitting in the car outside my house, and we're just talking. And I'm like, so, not to be upfront, but just like, what are your intentions here? And he goes, well, you know,
Hey, I don't think there were that many.
No, there was definitely that many. You know, marriage. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I did not say it that much. There's
Yeah,
no
he
way.
did.
I probably did that. That sounds about like me. But I did. That was just so important for me to say. Like, I think can be scary. Like, you're not like, that's not
Yeah,
something
obviously.
Okay, well, you know. But I think it's just part of what you need to be honest with each other. Like, I think, especially since we're the ages that we are, like now, it's like, I think there can be a sense of like high school dating where you're kind of like, it's not necessarily as sure as that, but it takes a little more time. But for us, it was like I was going to be very certain, not that it was going to be 100% her, but like it had to be 100% me choosing to be with her because I wanted to be with her someday, forever, like, you know. And so that was just a really important piece of that. So anyways, guys, we won't go any longer. I know I said that about 10 minutes ago, but that's okay.
So this is like us sitting in the car, getting ready to go home.
Exactly, like, just exactly about like that.
We say, oh, well, we should probably get home.
2 hours later.
Yeah.
So I was grateful that we got to make this. I was grateful for you to be a part of this. Super exciting. Hopefully she'll start being a part of it more. She's a little more comfortable maybe now. She's
this
great
is not
at it.
my wheelhouse.
It's not her wheelhouse, but it wasn't my wheelhouse at first either, so it's okay. But it was just like really, I don't know, it's really exciting to have you be a part of this. And again, if you guys want to be a part of this, like I want people to be a part of this, whether you have a certain topic you want to talk about, or maybe like if you guys want to, like if you know people who have powerful testimonies, or maybe even you yourself want to share yours, like that's something that I think can be really important to put on this channel, because I don't want it just to be me on here. Like I think part of that just starts to get mundane and old, and like it's important for me to bring you all along in that. So let me know. You guys can go message me on Instagram, or you can comment below, and I can get a hold of you somehow and we can figure that out. But again, make sure you go subscribe to this channel. That would mean the world to me. You can go become a patron of mine as well. That's a super big deal. She's actually one of my patrons.
That was
It's pretty exciting.
way before we started dating.
That's what I'm saying, before we started dating. And then also Canyon is another one of my patrons. There's 3 different tiers you guys can subscribe to. Go check it out in the description below. And also just make sure to go follow me on my social media accounts. That's a good place to keep track of what I do, especially Instagram, not Facebook, because Facebook's for old people.
Excuse me.
Anyways, it's been an absolutely lovely video, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. See you later. High five. That was a weak high five. Let's do a little bit stronger. There we go. All right, good job. Awesome job. Ugh.